everybody, and welcome to the regular monthly board meeting of the Board of the Lake City Development Corporation. This is March 20th, 2013. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Scott, would you lead us?
Absolutely. Be happy to.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We have just a couple people in the crowd. Terry Cooper from the Downtown Association and Mr. Keith Erickson. Welcome, both of you gentlemen. This is the first opportunity for public comment. Any public comment today? Okay, seeing none, let's move right to the approval of minutes. First, we have our regular board meeting minutes from February 20th. Do you have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second to approve the minutes of February 20th, 2013 board meeting. Any comments, questions, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Same motion for the February 26, 2013 special call board meeting.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 26, 2013 special call board meeting. Any comments, questions, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Committee reports. Finance Committee, Mr. Caldwell.
Okay. Finance Committee, let's start with the Lake District if we could first. Quite a bit of activity this month as far as payments that we approved last month on various obligations that we had. But we'll start with the balance sheet. And the Lake District did have a decrease in cash of $913,256 during the month. And that was primarily due to our semi-annual debt obligations, including the Washington Trust Lake District bond payment of $838,500 and the McEwen Park payment of $471,670. So significant reduction in cash for those reasons. The other assets wasn't a whole lot of change other than when you get down to Parkside IRA, Ice Plant, Northwest, Chamber DDA, and the 609 Sherman Loft. We had some principal reduction on those notes as we made the payments. So we paid interest current, and then there was a payment to principal, and the biggest one was a Parkside IRA that reduced that balance by $167,852. On the mortgage and liability side of the equation, we did have a decrease in payables of $379,406. That was a combination of our typical monthly payments that we make on our notes of roughly $15,900, and then also a large payment that we made on the Washington Trust bond payment. As you recall, it was $838,000, but we also got a draw from Washington Trust for $475,000. But that did result in our mortgages and notes going down by $379,406. So fairly significant activity, pretty big numbers this month on all items that we talked about last month. Everything else on the balance sheet was fairly static. There wasn't any significant changes in any of the items. If you would go to the profit loss for the Lake District, you can see that for the Lake District, we did receive $169,213 in tax increment revenue from the county. We had $13,763 in rent income, $130 in interest income, for a total of $183,106. If you go down a little bit further on our expenses, you'll see some significant interest payments, or excuse me, principal payments on various obligations that we made during the month. And you go down there to the line item about two-thirds of the way down the page. There's an item for $183,991. So that was the biggest one there. And then you go up a little further and you'll see that McEwen Park infrastructure payment, $471,670. So we had some money come in. We had a lot of payments to make. We did a draw on the bond during the month. And we spent total expenditures, if you go down to the very bottom, $720,422 for the month. So it was significant as far as activity for the month. Are there any questions about the profit loss or the balance sheet for the Lake District before we go to the River District? If not, let's go to the River District next. The River District had a decrease in cash of $462,277. And again, that's because we made some payments on our obligations, the largest being the Mill River promissory note, principal reduction of $348,363. Riverstone West, there was no change because there was no principal payment. It was all to interest. And then Riverstone West Phase 2, we did have a decrease principal payment that we made of $21,183. The liability stayed about the same, but mainly it was cash went down and then some of our obligations went down because of payments that we made. If you go to the profit and loss for the River District, you'll see that we did have tax increment funds come in during the month of $56,168. We had interest income of $155 for a total of $56,323 in income for the month. The expenses were typical, with the exception when you go about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll see that we made the Mill River OPA payment. That combined with the Riverstone West totals at $369,546, with the largest portion being Mill River, which was $348,363. And then we have interest expense items down at the very bottom of the expense items of $138,872, and that is interest payments on Mill River, $16,270, Riverstone West, $110,239, and Riverstone West Phase 2, $12,363. And as I stated earlier, these were things that we approved that we knew we had to pay on our obligations. So it is normal for this time of year, but it's a lot of activity. And we are making some pretty good headways on some of our notes where we're having significant principal reductions. Any questions about the balance sheet or the profit and loss for the River District?
Rod, I don't have a question on the River District, but back on the Lake District with the park side, it looks like we've made really good progress on that.
Yeah.
We'll have that paid off.
Yeah, it's coming down very fast.
That's a really good example of how creating value, investing some money to create value pays back on a pretty good dividends, and in this case, pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's worked out well. The next item we have is the payable sheet that Tony has just passed out for your review. The payables this month, we'll start at the top with Elam and Burke, $1,443 in work that they've done for us. Holly Troxel, $2,242.51, with the bulk of that being work that Holly Troxel did for us on the Education Corridor Phase 1 McEwen initiatives that they worked on for us. Molitor and Associates, Teresa's work on government relations, $2,093.73. Keith Erickson's communication work that he does for us of $1,400. And then you go down a little further and you'll see that item for $2,000. This is the RAI fund, the legal fund that we share with other URAs in the state. And it's really done by formula as far as how much we pay based on the size of the revenue we receive. So our payment is $2,000 on that. Then you go down to McEwen Park Project. We have an invoice from them for $91,259.80. And then Phase 1 construction of the Education Corridor, we have an invoice that just about taps out all the rest of the money we had put aside with the exception of $5,000. But this request is $32,244. That'll pretty much take care of everything down there with the exception of the $5,000. And Tony, we're holding the $5,000 for final completion. A couple things left to be done.
Right. There's two items that need to be done. They need to train the NIC staff on the irrigation system. This would be the landscapers that need to do that training, as well as install, I think, 6 to 8 new trees in that area, in the Phase 1 area. So they should be buttoned up here in the month.
Okay. Well, that sure turned out to be a nice project, and we're about done, so that's good. So I would like to entertain a motion for approval on the financials and the payables.
So moved.
Second.
I think she was first.
It doesn't matter.
Well, she was the
Somebody's got to
second.
get up. You guys are slow.
I know.
Yeah. You're right.
Questions about any of this? Okay. Been moved and second to approve the financial reports and the payables. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is the Jameson Library site property that we have currently a debt with Washington Trust Bank, and the amount owing is roughly $553,000. Tony had talked to them about the refinance of that property, and we had in finance talked about reducing that note possibly by 50% before we refinanced it. We went to Washington Trust. Tony got a quote from them at 2.65%. Currently, we're paying 4.15, and well, the original note was 4.15. We had one refinance at 4%. This one's at 2.65, which really reflects where interest rates are. It's a very good quote. Rates have dropped off quite a bit. They're offering to refinance the full amount or less if we want. The nice thing is there is no prepayment penalty, and the fee is $700. So limited cost, no prepayment penalty. We just need to decide if we want to pay down the obligation or not. We talked about it in finance, and I think the consensus for us was maybe not pay it down, but rather know that we can later at any time we want to, and just have that money available in case something else comes up that we need to use the money for. But we can go either way. We have adequate cash to pay it down. When we did our modeling for our budget, we thought that's what we would do. But frankly, at a 2.65% rate, it's not costing us very much to have it out. So I'd like to have discussion and see what you guys think. The Finance Committee recommended that we not pay it down and just do it later if we wanted to.
Refresh my memory, Rod. What's the term on it? Is it 5 years?
5 years.
Okay.
Yep. It'll have a call in 5 years, Dave. It doesn't pay off in 5 years.
Okay.
So, is there any reason we want to expedite paying the Jameson site off?
The only reason really is to have it gone before our district's gone.
Right.
And if let's just say, Brad, the rate was still 4, we might want to do that because the interest we make at the bank is hardly anything right now with rates so low. But this is a good rate, and it'll save us quite a bit of money.
My other question is, if we have the cash to pay it down, but it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense to pay it down because the interest rate is so reasonable right now, do we have any other properties that would be advantageous to pay down with that money instead that are at a higher rate considerably, and we'd like to get them paid off instead?
We have some properties, and I don't have the sheet in front of me, but we definitely have some that are in the low 4s. This rate is below what we have, I think, on any property we have. So, yes, we could choose to take some of that money and pay down one of those higher priced obligations, and that probably makes way more sense than paying this one down, for sure. So that's a good point.
We actually had that discussion briefly, Brad, in committee. And I guess the question that came up, I think, is maybe one for Danielle, and that is, would we have to amend our budget if we're going to pay down another one that we hadn't planned for, or can we just shift these funds to pay down a different loan? You don't have to answer tonight. You can figure that out for us.
Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, I'm just raising the question, so I'm
Yeah, and part of the thought process
think
was
about
that,
it.
as you guys know, we've obligated a lot of our money to the McEwen project, and we did hold back some money for things we don't know that are going to happen if somebody comes to us. But having a little extra money wouldn't be a bad thing, especially over the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
I agree with that logic. There's probably some things coming up that we should probably have a little money for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, we can always decide in 6 months or at the end of the fiscal year, whatever, to go ahead and pay some of that off.
All right.
So if there aren't any other comments or questions, I think Tony has some language that Danielle provided us for a potential motion. So.
Yes, Danielle was kind enough to kind of give me a draft motion so that we wrap this note up properly. It would be a motion to approve the issuance of the note and related documents to Washington Trust Bank in substantially the form presented here, authorizing the chairman and executive director to execute such documents to refinance the Jameson debt obligation. The note is hereby designated by the board as a qualified tax-exempt obligation under Section 265, subsection B, subsection 3 of the Internal Revenue Code.
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Daniel, thank you for that work. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, motion carries.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Job
Rod.
Finance Committee.
Thanks.
Yeah, great job.
Our Commissioner Elder's not here today. I don't know, Tony, if you have anything on housing or parking.
I talked to Commissioner Elder, and we have no report on housing, but Commissioner Elder and I talked about inviting Mr. Cooper, Terry Cooper, manager of the Downtown Association, to join us here at the board meeting to kind of update us on parking issues and solutions facing the downtown with the commencement of the McEwen Park 2013 project, which officially started on Monday, the 18th. And as you look out, you can see the fences are starting to go up, and Front Avenue is shut down, and it is upon us. So welcome, Mr. Cooper.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. We've been working on parking, satellite parking, for probably 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. I think you all know we've looked at over on Northwest Boulevard as a possible satellite parking area. The city's been working on that, and we will have Diamond get set up and manage that. The fees have not been established yet, and we are looking at a shuttle service that would operate starting in June, go through the summer months. We need to decide how much it will be used, if it would be used by monthly parking folks that are working downtown, or mainly by visitors who are here for the day or for a few hours. And so there would be signage on Northwest Boulevard and an area for them to park. Hopefully our goal is that it would be very reasonable parking for this period of time of construction. And we have not settled yet on the shuttle. We're trying to find the right type of equipment and also have a competitive bid on that that would run 6 to 7 days a week. So we're still in that problem of trying to decide the final aspect of this, and that's the shuttle. We have moved, working with Diamond, every monthly permit person that I know of that was in 3rd Street, we've moved them to other surface parking by the month. They have their same monthly permits. And so we probably absorbed about 160 to other parking spaces downtown. Downtown Association printed a map and locations of the parking lots with addresses, different block areas, and what those rates would be. And those were distributed to all the store owners and restaurant folks. Our goal is to try to work with all the business people downtown to help keep not only the owners but the employees out of the Sherman, Lakeside, Side Street parking area and have that be available to customers that are coming down to enjoy downtown. We still have a couple small parking areas yet we're negotiating on, working with Diamond, that could probably absorb another 25 to 30 cars under a monthly permit. So the next step is working with Diamond to see each month as we get closer to the nicer weather, how those permits increase by the month. So we hope to be prepared for that, and it looks pretty good. This time of year we still have plenty of parking. Evening parking, all the banks open up after 6 o'clock. So they're operated and managed by Diamond. And of course, on-street parking is not managed after 5 p.m. So right now, looking forward, during the events, I'm sure we're going to be running the shuttle when we bring in 10,000 or 5,000, 20,000 people for different events. We've always run a shuttle for Street Fair and Art on the Green and Taste of Coeur d'Alene. So we've always had that shuttle, and we probably would add another bus for that 3-day event. So we've adjusted our events, losing Front Street, and everything's working well. And we're excited to go forward and do the best we can to provide parking for everyone.
Questions of Terry? I have one, Terry. Actually, since my office sort of overlooks the railroad right away on Northwest Boulevard, I see when they did the grading work there where the Atlas storage building used to be, they also did a little bit of clearing up the way towards River Avenue between about Garden and River. I know that's still BLM property. Are there plans in the work to utilize any of that for parking?
There's some more area that will be utilized. We're trying to let it dry out. It'll take a while for that to happen, of course, the way the weather is.
Especially
right
after
now.
today.
Yeah, but we'll be able to use some more of it. And there's a concern, there's an alley up at the one end of that area that we want to be sure that we keep cars from not parking in the alley. But there will be some more space available there. It's a nice, good satellite parking, and with signage on Northwest Boulevard that will say public parking, shuttle bus service available, we hope that people will use it.
And also the parking that's been available historically right close to on the east side of Memorial Field and the skateboard park, a lot of people have been pulling in there and parking for free. Will that be part of the managed lot
I
then?
believe, I don't know, Denny, how much of that, some of that will be, I'm not sure if all of it will be. We haven't met and finalized that with Troy and the Diamond people, but we're going to have to see what we can do there. Of course, the skateboard people have parked there for free for a long time, so we're going to need to work with them.
Softball patrons have too, a lot too, I know.
Looks like there's been some work done in that area for making the parking lot a little better.
Yeah, definitely the city's been working there.
Terry, is there someplace electronically people can access the up-to-date information on where parking is available and, shuttles are running this weekend and all the ins and outs?
There will be, Dave. There isn't yet.
Will it be through your website, or will it be through the
city's? It would be our website and hopefully maybe the city website. Okay. That we would have that. Maybe the chamber website would also have it.
Okay.
We're going to work with the city and get a map that includes Independence Point, the museum parking, and some of that area that we don't have on a lot of the maps we use.
Okay.
Other questions of Terry?
Thank you.
No, thanks for that report, Terry. We appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I have one quick housing question.
Yes, sir.
Has Tony heard anything from Idaho Housing on the Midtown project? Any movement there?
Nothing recently. They're still interested in pursuing an opportunity up there, but they have not been aggressive to this point in re-engaging on that topic.
All right.
Okay, anything else on housing or parking? If not, let's go to communications.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Keith, you want to join us at the table here? Sure. While he's getting situated. We sent out earlier this week video edit number 3 to the Comms Committee. Appreciate you guys' feedback as soon as possible, because we're right on the edge of releasing that the rest of the board for their input. So if you could give us your thoughts and ideas on that before we do that, I'd appreciate it. So the rest of the board members, that should come to you, I'm hoping, by this weekend. So,
Dave, I've looked at it. I don't have any other comments other than we're down to 7 minutes and 6 seconds, so it's been a real challenge to get it to 5 minutes.
Yeah, we whittled
without losing some substance.
A little 3 minutes, so look for that coming your way. The second part is Keith's prepared a kind of an update, a brief on what he's been involved with in tree newsletter that came out today. So Keith, if you'd like to, go ahead and tell us what you've been up to.
Sure. And first of all, the McEwen work, as we all know, is completely, full bore now. On my way here, I noticed that it's closed. They closed the street. So I think the most important part that we can do right now, it's a legacy project of ours, is inform the public and let them know what's going on. I know the city's working on that, and the LCDC should too. So I'm working with Christina Lyman, with the city, the communications person there, and also their engineer, Mr. Grant, Dennis Grant, to provide updates. And I think it's important for anyone who comes downtown to be informed on what distractions there might be as far as road closures or water outages or anything like that. So we'll continue to update that as frequently as possible. Me, again, working in unison with the city people. As Terry mentioned, the downtown, the parking situation is going to change, and so that will also, be updated as well on our Facebook page. So I would encourage people to go to LCDC.org and go to our Facebook page and check it out, or they can go to the city's website as well. As far as our communications efforts, again, we want to continue our outreach as much as we can. And last year, for 4 months, we experimented with a local blog site called Huckleberries. It's associated with the Spokesman Review. We had a lot of success. Had like 800,000 hits, and 600 people went to our website, learned more about us. And what we did at that time was link it directly to the webcam. And I've been working with Tari, our communications person, and rather than, if the board so decides, because we discontinued the Huckleberries app once McEwen work stopped, what Tony and I have discussed, and I want to leave it up to the obviously up to the board, is to revisit that ad. It's relatively inexpensive, gets a lot of exposure, and instead of link it just to a webcam, link it to a McEwen landing page that actually is part of LCDC's website instead of just a webcam. And if people were to go there, again, with 700,000 visitors, that's a lot of exposure. They could either join our newsletter, visit our website, any number of things. It really connects them closer. It's relatively cheap. It's $300 a month. So I think it's something for the board to consider. They don't need to know till the end of the month, but I think what we're trying to do is outreach as best we can to let people know that we are trying to spread the word. So I would encourage the board to support the Huckleberries ad.
Would it be available at the same spot?
Yeah, it would be the same spot, front and center. Okay. Actually, not front and center, left and center, because front and center is the blog copy. But no, it's premium site, and since we were kind of one of the first to weigh into it, we have that. And also, I can share with the board, and if you want, on our Facebook page, on the hits that we got and the different colors and what worked better and what didn't. So it, in my opinion, it was a success. So it's something to consider in the outreach.
Okay, Keith, do you have you mentioned something called a landing pad, which is a separate
landing page.
Landing page. So is there work involved in setting that up then?
Yeah, and I talked with Tari yesterday. She's the communications person for the LCDC. She works with the chamber as well. A real simple thing. It's basically a link. So rather than linking just to the webcam, which is good and interesting, but this would be a lot closer connection to the LCDC. And so let me put it this way. Before, if you clicked on it, it would go to the webcam and you'd see every 5 minutes an update. Now you would go to our McEwen landing page, which you would see the webcam, that you could still go there, or you could see, hey, sign up for the newsletter, or go to our home site, and you could do all this other stuff. So
or find the parking map or whatever.
Yeah, we could do that too. We could work with the Downtown Association to do that as well. We could add whatever we want to it. And for that many hits, I mean, and realistically, I need to say that even though there's 700,000 people that page view, we get 0.07 on the average, which sounds like a small percentage. But for that tile ad, it usually averages on a national level for blog sites like this 0.03. So we're getting a lot of interest and a lot of hits.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very effective project that we did last year, and I think that this year it would only increase because people are more and more interested in what's going on. I like your idea of a landing page. Mm-hmm. Personally, I would certainly even make a motion that we move forward with the Huckleberries ad and put that project together again for this year.
You can make it
Is there a second?
Yeah, I would second that.
More discussion or questions of Keith? So basically what we're talking about is re-engaging the $300 a month expense for that tile ad.
Exactly, and what would happen is we would have the tile ad to be approved, by Tony and the board if they so wish to see. It's pretty simple. It's just to get them in and then, to get them to click, so there's only a few words. So, yeah, and I think it's a good way to move.
Tony?
Clarification on the motion, would it be for 1 month, 2 months, for a while?
Well,
Ongoing, at least maybe for the,
project.
Construction
I
season?
think for the construction period.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
put it that, limit it to that.
8 months.
We could connect with the new video that we're coming online with soon, too. So we could have
Absolutely.
a
On the
number of
landing
different
page-
tentacles, so to speak.
Right, exactly. Once they click on that, we can send them to a landing page that we can send them to wherever they want.
the other thing, Keith, I think I'd like you to think about is, do we just use the LCDC logo, or do we tie in the McEwen project on that ad, so that people that are really interested in the McEwen project in particular might
think-
also be drawn?
Which is a good point. I think first and foremost, we need to identify ourselves as the LCDC, and if we don't want to get too busy.
Right.
So we don't want it real busy. We want to let them know it's LCDC and not. So it depends. Really, that's kind of a design. If you can include them both. I can work with Tree on that, with Tony's involvement, and
Or maybe,
Could have alternating.
yeah, we could change it each month maybe. And
right,
just
which we did with colors too. So you could go back and forth on that, and there's zero extra cost to switch it. So it's still the $300 a month to do that.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great, I will pursue that then, and we will get it up. It can start April 1.
Great.
They're excited to have us back, and I think it's an exciting thing for us, too. And then finally, I don't know how many of you got the newsletter. It went out today. Pretty comprehensive piece. Obviously, the focus is on McEwen. Took a different angle, talked to some people who were really part of it, not government officials, or I talked to the steering committee. There's just some background in there, so I would encourage, I'm not going to elaborate too much, but I would encourage people to read it. If they get it, if they don't, they can go to LCDC.org and subscribe to it. It's right there on the orange button, or yellow button, and so they can subscribe to it. So there's a good piece on McEwen, and I shouldn't say good. I mean, it's kind of a pat on the back, but
We can say that.
okay.
Fair representation.
And there's also a neat piece that I think came from, the idea came from Mr. Patzer on Sorensen and all the success that has happened there. And I was enlightened to write that piece. And I think I talked to some really neat people who I won't divulge. You got to go there. It's kind of a tease, so you have to read it. So there's also the Sorensen piece. And I was lucky enough to have a conversation, or several conversations, with Mr. Brad Jordan, our board member who's been a longstanding community pillar, and talked to him about McEwen, the future of LCDC, and many other things. So I would recommend, it's a good read as far as a newsletter. I mean, as far as the information and what's involved. And I think people would be, enlightened to see it. And it's not spam, or what you do is you get it once a month. So I would encourage people, again, to go to lcdc.org and click on the subscribe to us. And really, that's my full report for now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, thanks,
Keith.
Keith.
Dave, anything else from
all I got,
communications?
Danny.
It's all good work. All right, Executive Director's Report. Tony.
Just a couple items, Mr. Chairman. First off, just want to remind the board that we have a LCDC City of Coeur d'Alene City Council workshop scheduled for Thursday, March 28th at noon in this room, and hope everybody can make it. Hope your schedules are still holding firm for that, and we'll have, I believe, all of the council members except Ms. Goodlander, who has other obligations or other commitments during that time. So we should have pretty much a full house. The second topic I just wanted to share with the board and the viewing audience that bring closure to an issue that we discussed last month regarding a proposal that we received from the city via Welch Comer for a potential community contact person from the McEwen Park project. As you recall, the overture to the city was for a Welch Comer employee to serve that role at a cost of $24,000 to the project. The city of Coeur d'Alene came to the LCDC asking if the LCDC would partner in that, and we discussed it, and we were supportive of the idea of having a community contact person, and we were going to further vet the Welch Comer proposal. Since that time, the city of Coeur d'Alene has thoroughly reviewed the I guess, potential of this person and have reconsidered and are now going to internally resource that position. They've engaged Dennis Grant, who's a member of the engineering department for the city of Coeur d'Alene, to fill that role. I think Dennis will do a great job in that role, and it will save the project those funds. So that proposal has been withdrawn, and Mr. Grant is in that position, and he is already becoming very busy this week. So just wanted to bring closure to that issue. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tony. Deanna?
The city, in looking at the position, what was going on in the engineering department, Dennis was usually the guy that was in charge of the overlay funds and the overlay processes, so he would be supervising those projects. Well, this year, McEwen is the recipient of the overlay funds, so this he really was kind of didn't have a lot to do, and this was an opportunity to utilize his knowledge as an engineer and as immediate access through the city. So I think it's a great match, and it does a wise utilization of funds and his time.
Very good. Any other comments? This is the time for board commissioner comments as well. So, do you have any other board commissioners that have anything to add? Okay. I'll just add that very exciting to see those construction elements go up right next door to us here. It's going to be maybe a little inconvenient, but very exciting to see this long sought-after project get completed. So we're off and running.
You're here.
Decades.
All right, public comment, and no other additional guests, and we've heard from both of you, so I guess we don't have any public comment. That takes us right down to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are in adjournment.